Welcome back, everyone. The iPhone 13 actually just came out, so let's go and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy S21 and see which one you should actually pick up. Now, both these in the brand new market are roughly around the same price, around that $800 price tag. So I'll find the cheapest ones at Amazon, link them down in the description below. You can get them from there, and you can also help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, there definitely are some differences. We still have the notch on the iPhone 13. The Galaxy S21 has that hole punch display. On top of that, the S21 has a little bit of a bigger panel, so a 6.2-inch panel here. The iPhone 13 has a 6.1-inch panel. Nothing super crazy. Resolutions are kind of around the same. I think a high resolution on the iPhone 13, but you do have that 120 Hz panel on the Samsung Galaxy S21. Now, the iPhone 13 Pro has that ProMotion panel, or the 120 Hz panel. The Galaxy S21 has it at around the same price tag as the iPhone 13 that does not have it. So keep that in mind. The standard iPhone 13 doesn't have this feature that more expensive ones do. So that is automatically like a W on the Samsung Galaxy S21. Now on the side, you have a little bit of a different build out. So the chassis of the phone feels kind of the same, but you do have that plastic back on the Galaxy S21, which we'll get into in a second. Now thinness and thickness, roughly, I think they kind of feel the same, but the iPhone 13 definitely feels a lot more premium. And on the back, glass back on the iPhone 13, this plastic back that's frosted on the Galaxy S21. I never liked it. I still don't like it, but you do get wireless charging and reverse wireless charging on the back of the Galaxy S21. With the iPhone 13 only has wireless charging. Once they put reverse wireless charging, that'll be awesome. And you also get that triple camera setup on the S21 versus that dual camera setup on the iPhone, 13. Lightning port, USB Type-C on the back, on the bottom, power button on this side, and that pretty much covers it up on the outside. There's really not a whole else left, going on with them, but both of them do a great job at what they do, and I have no complaints about them whatsoever. Now, on top of this, one big thing that's probably going to be the deciding factor, do you like Android, do you like iOS? You should probably pick up whichever one you want based off that. But a big thing to keep in mind is that with the S21, you are probably not going to be getting as long of a lasting phone on this one compared to the iPhone 13. This phone is probably going to last a little bit longer in the brand new market. So that's a pretty big thing to keep in mind. And if you want, with an S21, it's still going to be here to stay. It's still going to be, a good phone for everyone to pick up. But the iPhone 13 is definitely going to be the one that lasts much longer in terms of security updates, full OS updates, and all that good stuff. So for better or for worse, you are getting a longer lasting phone on the iPhone 13 than on the Galaxy S21. So without a doubt, that's a pretty big thing to keep in mind as well. But, the choice is yours. You can pick up Android, you can pick up iOS, whichever one you want, you can pick it up from there. Now that pretty much covers it up in the body and the hardware and the software. Now let's go into a speed comparison between both these phones. Now the Galaxy S21 has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset inside of it with 8 gigabytes of RAM. The iPhone 13 has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster phone between both of these. Okay, there we go. Let's go and clear the apps in the background. As you can see, they are all cleared out for the most part, except for this one. Let's get into them. Let's do phone calls, 3, 2, 1. Pretty much the same thing. Animations-wise, too, you can see they're kind of the same thing, too. Hopping out of this one, let's get into their designated app stores, 3, 2, 1. And definitely the S21 was faster there. Scrolling through, you can see, even though you have the 120 Hz panel on the S21, it seems like the iPhone 13, which is on the left, is a little bit faster. Kind of scrolling between apps like this. Let's see, the smoothness factor between them. And they're kind of roughly the same thing. Hopping out of this one, let's get into their cameras. 3, 2, 1. And kind of the same thing. I mean, they kind of were a little bit different, so I don't know what to make of that one. Hopping out of here, as always, I have a bunch of these third-party apps we can go and get into. Let's do Snapchat, 3, 2, 1. And for some reason, it didn't want to open on the S21, so we'll kind of leave that one in the background. Snake vs. Blocks, 3, 2, 1. And the S21 was actually the faster one there. Getting into some gameplay, let's see if there's going to be that big of a difference. And I don't really think there's going to be, so let's go and hop out of this one. Let's get into the next app, which is Stack. 3, 2, 1. And I think the S21 again is the faster one here. Let's just get into Temple Run 2. 3, 2, 1. And you can see the Galaxy S21 probably is the faster one here too. It's pretty interesting. I wasn't expecting this one to be that much faster. And the iPhone 13 eventually got into it. So let's get into some gameplay here and see if there's difference. There may be, there may not be. I guess we'll kind of see what happens. And I doubt there is. This is a pretty basic game. Hopping out of that one, let's get into Fruit Ninja. 3, 2, 1. And I don't know, maybe, yeah, I think the iPhone 13 definitely was far faster there, at least to get into that panel. Hopping out of this one, let's get into Quizlet 321. And actually, I don't know, maybe the 13 was a little bit faster there. Let's get into Bofa 321. And there we go. I think you guys can kind of see which one was the faster one there. Let's go and get into Twitter 321. Definitely the iPhone 13 was the faster one. Go and get into, and to be honest, I think we kind of covered up a majority of the ones that we wanted to kind of hit on. And kind of swiping through all these like this, you can kind of see they've done a pretty good job at keeping the app in the background. And to be honest, I don't know which one is the faster one between these two. They kind of did a really good job. I think the Galaxy S21 though is still probably the faster one when it comes down to it, but the iPhone 13 is still a very good phone. It's still very fast, but I'm surprised the S21 did as good as it did. Now let's do a little bit of a quick camera test between them. Now on the back, triple camera setup of the S21, a wide, telephoto, and ultra-wide sensor, where the iPhone 13 has a wide and an ultra-wide sensor, so you have an additional telephoto lens on the back of the S21. On top of that, you actually get 4K at 60 on the back and the front of both these, which is great, but the S21 can do 8K video. The iPhone 13 doesn't have that capability. Now in terms of the actual camera features and everything, kind of see they kind of have the same thing going on. There's really not that big of a difference, to be honest. They have the same type of capability, but the iPhone 13, the UI isn't as great, I think, as the S21. It has way more features built into this camera, and the 8K video is really cool. You do have cinematic mode, which is a new feature on the iPhone 13, which is really cool. The Galaxy S21 does have some capability like this, but it really isn't as crazy as this. You do have portrait video, which is pretty similar, but I do think cinematic mode probably beats it. Now with the Galaxy S21, this camera is very good. Like I mentioned, you have an ultra-wide sensor, which is very good. Unfortunately, we didn't have it in that video mode, but we do have this one. And what I can tell you is without a doubt, this camera was really good too. I mean, you have a lot of different capability, and you still have all these different types of settings within it too. I mean, you have 8K video, which is so amazing. So the Galaxy S21 has a really good camera without a doubt. And with the iPhone 13, I think it definitely takes it to a good level too. Like, this is not a bad camera at all. I love this camera a lot. You have that ultra wide sensor, like I mentioned before. You can zoom in a lot, you can zoom out a lot, which is really cool. And I have very few complaints about this specific phone. I think the 4K at 60 is really awesome on both the front and the back, and I like having that capability. I think the Galaxy S21 camera though is still the better one when it comes down to it, but the iPhone 13 camera is still extremely good too. And now we make it to the end of the video. And should you go and buy the iPhone 13 or should you go and buy the Galaxy S21? Well, this is what I'll tell you. You know, I think both these phones are great and I think they have a lot of capability. And me personally, I'm more of an iPhone person, so I would probably end up buying the iPhone 13 just because it is, you know, a really good phone for the price tag. But if I didn't already have a bias towards one, I would 100% probably buy the Galaxy S21. And this is more of a flagship than the iPhone 13. One thing I haven't tested between these two is the battery comparison, which I'm going to go ahead and do, but I'd probably still say possibly the Galaxy S21 wins here, which is going to be crazy to say. But I've always found Galaxies to have really good battery life. You have a 4,000 mAh battery here. You have wireless charging, reverse wireless charging, great camera with 8K capability, 120 Hz refresh rate, which is beautiful, and I love seeing this. Very good performance. I think this phone is actually a faster phone than the iPhone 13 as well, which is pretty crazy. And it's just a very good phone overall. Now with the iPhone 13, this is a very good phone. It's a brand new phone, even though these two came out this year. I like this phone a lot too, but it just doesn't feel as much of a flagship as the Galaxy S21, even though this one is built more premium, which is crazy. You still have that 60 Hz panel, 4K at 60 on the front and the back, so no 8K. You're missing that telephoto lens here, no reverse wireless charging, which is another thing, and no 120 Hz refresh rate, which kind of sucks. So I think this is a great phone. I think this isn't that great of an upgrade from the iPhone 12, which is pretty crazy. I think between these two, the S21, even though this was a downgrade in so many ways from the Galaxy S20, it just doesn't feel as premium or, just kind of strike me the right way as an iPhone 13 in my opinion. So that's pretty much it. Like I mentioned, if you want to purchase either one of these, links are down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.